So this is Review 7. R.7 begins on page number 47, called The Basics of Equation Solving for the college algebra class. We're going to start on page 48. This is going to be just a real quick lesson. It's only 2 pages long, so it'll just be a few minutes here, but thought I'd at least go over a couple things with you. Middle of page 48 gives us, in the blue box, equation solving principles. You're familiar with the addition principle, the multiplication principle. You're familiar, whether you know it or not, the principle of zero products, which means that if we have one number times another number and it equals 0, then one of these numbers, either the A or the B, must equal 0. And that's where we come up with things like x minus 7 and x plus 3 when you do factoring, and you decide that x equals positive 7 or negative 3, because those two numbers, when they're plugged in, they make this quantity 0 or this quantity 0. And as long as one of the quantities is 0, when you multiply, you're going to get 0 here. So that's just a quick review of the principle of zero products. Then we've got the principle of square roots, which is the next one down. If you look at that one, and it says that x squared equals k, or let's just put one on here, 4 squared equals 16. And what that principle of square root says is that 4 equals the square root of 16, which, if we were to look at it this way, x equals the square root of k. Or x equals the negative square root of k, and if we were to use numbers again, we'd get 4 equals the negative square root of 16, provided that this is 4. So negative 4 equals negative square root of 16 is 4. So that's when this is true, is if this x is negative in the first place, then it's going to give us negative square root of k, and if it's positive, it's going to give us a positive square root of k. Which brings us to example 1. I'm not even going to do that one because you are just solving for x there, and that's pretty quick and simple to do. When you get to one like example 2, we've got x squared minus 3x equals 4. Okay, so then we're just going to set that equal to 0, and we're going to follow the principle of zero products. So we'll set that equal to 0 there, and then we break it down into our x plus 1 and x minus 4. Therefore, our x equals negative 1 or 4. When we have something like example 3, 3x squared minus 6 equals 0, and if you remember, you factor out. Okay, that's a 2. And you end up not being able to factor this because you get, well, you end up with x squared minus 2 equals 0 divided by 3, which is 0. So you get x squared minus 2 equals 0, and x squared equals 2. So x equals plus or minus the square root of 2. And that's what you get for that. When you do that example, I did it different than the book. The book probably, for once, did it a simpler way than what I did. The book just looked at the 3x squared minus 6 equals 0, and then just went right to this. And x squared equals 2, so then x equals plus or minus the square root of 2. So that's a lot quicker than what I did. But anyway, that's review 7. That's all there is.